A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Newsfirst Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Reports pertaining to the Colombo Port City project delayed. 500 million rupees loss incurred on a daily basis. Opposition demands for latest treasury bond to be revoked. Prime Minister makes a statement on the government's challenges. Government's economic program criticised.
And now for the stories in detail. 9 days have lapsed since the temporary suspension of the Colombo Port City project. Deputy Manager of the project, Chandana Gunwardana, says that a loss of 500 million is incurred on a daily basis as a result of the temporary suspension.
Now, we all know that the construction activities of the Colombo Port City was suspended over a week ago as per an order issued by the Cabinet. Speaking to Newsfirst, the Secretary to the Ministry of Mahawali Development and Environment, Mr. Nihal Rupasinghe, stated that there were anomalies in the previous submission of the report with regard to this project, and that the Ministry is in contact with the Sri Lanka Ports Authority and the National Building Research Organisation to obtain the correct information with regard to the sand mining and the rock quarrying for this project. At this moment, what is being exchanged with regard to the continuation or the complete stopping of this project are mere words. When days pass, millions of rupees are lost for this project. When the project was suspended, 13% of the total land area for the project had been filled with sand. The breakwater that was constructed to protect the reclaimed land was completed up to an extent of 870 meters below sea level and 420 meters above sea level. However, officials at the construction site reiterate that the lack of time to complete the breakwater has resulted the reclaimed land to erode into the sea. Deputy Manager of the project, Chandana Gunwardana, elaborated on the losses incurred as a result of the temporary suspension.
There are
943 Sri Lankans employed at the project. In addition to this, 3 dredgers are used to fill the sea with sand. A sum of 30 million rupees is incurred as a result. High technological equipment are used for the project. These equipment incur a loss of 15,000 rupees each hour. The total loss is approximately 500 million rupees.
Former Sri Lankan permanent representatives to the United Nations in Geneva, Thamara Kunanayagam, says that the appointment of Shenuka Seneviratne as the Sri Lankan ambassador to Thailand is problematic. The Auditor General report on the refurbishment of the permanent mission in Geneva during Seneviratne's tenure as ambassador was the attention of much controversy recently. Now, the Auditor General's intervention into the matter was sought by the Sri Lanka's former permanent representatives to the UN in Geneva, Thamara Kunanayagam.
Thamara Kunanayagam, the former Sri Lankan permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, exposed a transaction on the refurbishment of the official residence of the ambassador a few years ago. The Auditor General's report on the investigation noted that the refurbishment was carried out by a group affiliated to the LTTE, violating tender procedure. However, speaking yesterday, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Ajith P. Pereira noted that the handing over of the contract for refurbishment to a group affiliated to the LTTE was made without knowledge of Ambassador Shenuka Seneviratne. He further said that an individual cannot be deemed a wrongdoer if the activity in question had taken place without his or her knowledge.
Well, first of all, he cannot say she was not... she didn't know if the inquiry is not over. If the inquiry is not over, then nobody can say that she knew or she didn't know. So they have to wait for the inquiry to finish. Now, under normal circumstances in any other country, and I think also in Sri Lanka, when there are such charges against a person, then the person is suspended until the inquiry is over. And once the inquiry is over, then the decision is taken whether to keep the person, interdict the person, not to interdict, promote. That's the decision to be taken after the inquiry is over. Now, good governance is valid for everyone, and whether you are in government or you're not in government. And if somebody has done wrong in governing, then people should be treated in an equal way. An inquiry should be conducted in the same manner, whether you are in government or not. You can't have people inside your government who are corrupt, and you don't take action against them, and at the same time talk about those who are outside because they're not with you. So there is a big problem of credibility.
Although it is said good governance, the people are not prepared for good governance. We are still in the level where special treatment is being given to the one with more money. Shenuka Seneviratne has been given an appointment while an investigation is still underway over the refurbishment of the official residence of the permanent representative to Geneva. There was an issue. So how can an appointment be made? These are mistakes. We need to look into them. The rogues will be nabbed. We wish to inform the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ajit P. Pereira, that there are many things that is being kept in the dark over this matter. This audit report was compiled by a committee comprising of 3 senior officials appointed by then Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, P.B. Jasundara. Did you make this statement after consulting these 3 officials, or is this just another step of cleaning the dirty laundry of the rogues? We are ashamed that as an attorney you are making such statements without any form of responsibility. The husband of Shenuka Seneviratne is also connected to this issue. Does Ajit P. Pereira know about this? Not only was the contract to refurbish the official residence was given to an LTTE affiliated company, even the air tickets were handled by the LTTE affiliated company called Siva. Was this too done under the impression of not being aware? Is Ajit P. Pereira trying to say that Shenuka Seneviratne was not aware of such handlings with LTTE affiliated establishments?
Speaking to News First, also a former Sri Lankan permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, Dr. Dayan Jayathilaka said that the appointment of Seneviratne to the post of ambassador to Thailand before the investigations are completed is questionable.
Now, what happened to that report of the Auditor General? Has it been buried? Surely in this moment of transparency and the rule of law, one expects to know what happened to that report of the Auditor General. This was not an internal report of the Foreign Ministry. This was a very serious report which had financial and even security implications. What happened to the report? Was anything done about it? And if not, why not? And if it had been gone into, who went into the matter? Are we sure that this was an impartial inquiry? Who conducted that inquiry? Was there a report that issued from that inquiry? And who was the report given to? What were the conclusions of the report? And what action was taken, if any, on that report into the report of the auditors who went to Geneva?
Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Ajit P. Pereira noted yesterday that the individual connected to the Geneva Gate controversy were in fact an individual affiliated to the LTTE. However, then Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Pires revealed in Parliament last year that there is no information that the individual in question had any ties with the LTTE.
Switzerland police
I am tabling this document in Parliament. This is a document. This document has been issued by the Federal Office of Justice. This is the Switzerland Police.
Federal Office of Justice, Switzerland. The person mentioned in this extract was not entered in the criminal records as at the date of 20th October 2014. ඒ දිනේ වෙනකොට මේ පුද්ගලයාට විරුද්ධව කිසිම ක්‍රිමිනල් රෙකෝඩ් එකක් නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ පැහැදිලිව ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා මේ පුද්ගලයාට විරුද්ධව උත්සාහක්ෂ නැහැ.
What is interesting is that the minister also says that this was an LTT company. Now, if that is the case, if it is an LTT company, then it is even more problematic. Because then it's not even just a question anymore of good governance. Then it has to do with national security. when you're in the opposition or if you're in government, you have to be coherent and consistent. You cannot take one position when you're outside the government because you want to take power, and you can take another position when you're in government because it suits you.
Meanwhile, opposition leader News1st de Silva says that a transparent and an independent investigation needs to be conducted into the financial fraud reported in the latest treasury bond issue of the central bank.
Issuing a statement, the leader of the opposition states that the bond issue, which is for a period of 30 years, has been obtained at 12.5% and not 9.5% as stated. News1st de Silva notes that the public will have to shoulder an additional 9 billion rupees as interest to the 10 billion rupees bond issue. The leader of the opposition points out that despite claims made by the Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake that no financial fraud had taken place into the latest treasury bond issues, adds that President Maithripala Sirisena had ordered for an investigative commission to be appointed to look into the matter. The opposition leader questions why such a commission was constituted by the President if no financial fraud had taken place. The statement further adds that despite the President's order to establish a commission of professionals who have a sound knowledge about financial markets to look into this, the Prime Minister had appointed a commission consisting of 3 lawyers attached to the United National Party. The leader of the opposition reiterates that the action of the Prime Minister had resulted in heavy criticism being levelled by the business community, professionals and organisations committed to ensure good governance. News1st de Silva notes that this is the first time that a governor had personally intervened during the issuance of bonds and adds that this has paved way for suspicion. The opposition leader calls for the removal of the governor of the central bank. The opposition leader recommends the following to the government. The 9 billion rupees bond issue to be revoked. The written document forwarded by the Treasury Secretary to the Debt Division of the Central Bank be revealed. On whose accord was the bid increased to 10.58 billion from 1 billion? Who took this decision? The documentation of the company allegedly involved in the financial fraud be investigated. The documents forwarded by a group of SLFPs to the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption be investigated immediately. The Auditor General to conduct an investigation into the matter and table a report to Parliament.
Now, speaking at a function in Lanka in Colombo today, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed his views on the bond issue of the central bank.
They're now screaming that construction work on development projects have been stopped. But why have they been stopped? Payments were not made to the projects that were commenced. So what we did was we obtained 10 billion from those bonds and are making these payments to continue the work. Certain big companies have not been paid for years. So when these companies came asking this money from us, we said that we will make payments for the contract-based work and not for the others done in the past. But if need be, we will make payments on installments. Because if we go to pay for all that, we will not be able to provide the developments the people are expecting. 4 companies were summoned without any tender procedure. But before they even started work, they gave out large sums of money in millions for the victory of Mahinda Rajapaksa during the presidential elections. Now they cannot get that money reimbursed because there are no kings anymore. The money which was obtained from other places have gone missing. This event, which was held for the United National Party membership promotion campaign for 2015, commenced under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Following the statement made by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was aired on the 7 p.m. primetime news bulletin on our sister channel Sirasa TV, SLFP media spokesperson MP Tilan Mirara shared the following views.
By listening to the speech that Ranil Wickremesinghe made in Lanka clearly shows that he cannot serve as the Prime Minister of the country. After forming the new government, new appointments were made to various ministries. So now what were those ministers who were appointed supposed to do? They were appointed to pay for previous projects and the next project and the next. So without doing all that, there is simply no point in making various statements. What have they done now? They brought in a person who is not a citizen of Sri Lanka to serve as the governor of the central bank. After bringing him down to the country, he is made a citizen of Sri Lanka in 24 hours. After this was done, what this governor does is, he gives his son-in-law bonds of the central bank and moreover, it is a different amount without the proper tender procedure with an increased interest rate. It doesn't end there. For the first time in the world, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka is taken off the Ministry of Finance and then taken under Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's capacity. This has not happened anywhere in the world. There is also a game being played under the table to crumble the country's economy for the next 30 years. Truthfully speaking, the governor of the central bank must resign from his position in order to conduct this investigation.
Leader of the Democratic Party, General Saad Fonseca, says that the service expected of the government is yet to be fulfilled. Saad Fonseca expressed this view while addressing a meeting in Mirijjavala today.
We believe that the leader of the UNP to be an expert in economics. But so far, not a word has been said about an economic plan. Certain sections have been charged with extra taxes, and from that tax money, prices of certain goods have been reduced. Now a minister is being called Saradil by those in Colombo. 50% of the current cabinet are also black sheep. It is because of such people that this country is not moving on its due path.
JVP Provincial Councillor Samantha Vidyaratna attended a function at the Postal Auditorium in Badulla today.
In the recent past, we bought goods from the shop of Mahinda Rajapaksa, but that shop served to only family corporation. There was widespread opposition to this in the country, so the people decided to close this shop down and open a new one. Now it is a group of companies. They opened what is called Maithripala and Wickremesinghe shop. People thought they will have good governance from that shop, but now what has happened? Are you happy? An interim budget was presented. We would like to question whether this budget is friend or foe. What is needed now is a populist budget.
Also in local news, President Maithripala Sirisena has been appointed as the chairman of the United People's Freedom Alliance. Now speaking to Newsfirst, parliamentarian H.M. Fauci said that the appointment was made during the party's Central Working Committee meeting held at the Foundation Institute yesterday.
MP Fauci said that former Minister Janaka Bandara Tennekoon has been appointed as the party's national organizer, which was previously held by Minister Basil Rajapaksa. Janaka Bandara Tennekoon, the son of poet and founding member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, T.B. Tennekoon, entered politics after serving as a police officer. After being appointed organizer of the Dambulla electorate for the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Janaka Bandara Tennekoon was elected to Parliament in 1994. He holds a firm reputation of being a dedicated organizer, as he has held deputy ministerial portfolios for labour and health and also served as the Minister of Local Government and Provincial Councils.
It has been reported that certain property of the Mattala International Airport have been removed. Employees at the airport cast doubts that this is an attempt to shut down the Mattala Airport.
This is footage when the Mattala Mahinda Rajapaksa International Airport was declared open. These seats were installed for the convenience of the passengers who arrive at the Mattala Airport. But at present, these seats at the airport have been removed. It was evident that these seats in question have been loaded into vehicles. We have drastically reduced the cost of the Mattala International Airport. We are planning on transporting the essential goods to the Katunayaka Airport. Otherwise, these goods will get corroded. However, we will not close down the Mattala Airport. We have no need to call off these employees from work. Mattala was constructed without a plan, not expecting aircrafts to arrive at the airport, instead to construct the airport and wait for the arrival of aircrafts. Meanwhile, a protest was launched in Debarava Tissa Maharama requesting to keep the Mattala Airport in operational status.
A Sinhala and Tamil Art Festival organized by the Pivithuru Hetak National Council in a bid to create friendship among communities took place in Jaffna.
The festival took place at the Veerasinghe Mall in Jaffna and was aimed to ingest positive thoughts to the hearts of friends. This event was organised under the guidance of Chairman of the Pivithiru National Council, Venerable Athuraliye Ratanathero. A group including Governor of the Northern Province, HMGS Paliyakara, invitees as well as Sinhala and Tamil artists were present at the occasion.
උතුරු හා නැගෙනහිර දෙපළාතේ මුළු ලංකාවේ අපේ ජනතාව මුහුණ දෙන
We need to have an understanding on the issues that the people face in the north and east and the entire country. It is only through that understanding that we can develop as a country. We always propose for priority to be given to the employment issue of the people in the northern province. In my view, since we achieve independence, we are yet to achieve talented and strong politics that will mold this country.
හොඳ දක්ෂ දේශපාලන ශක්තිමත් දේශපාලන නායකත්වයක් තවම අපට ලැබිලා නැහැ.
Many items depicting various cultural aspects and unity among communities added colour to the event.
A tense situation arose today over an incident where a bowser carrying waste produced from the Umaoya project being disposed into a waterway. Now it is reported that a member of the clergy was also assaulted during this tense standoff over the incident where a waste bowser from the Umaoya project is disposing the waste into a waterway flowing adjacent to the Rakita Kandarajma Vihare in Karandagola. According to our correspondent, the monk is receiving in-house treatment at the hospital. Area residents staged a protest over this incident today. The protesters carried out their protest while blocking a vehicle carrying an Iranian national. Police said that the driver of the bowser and the Iranian national were arrested. Thirteen persons from several families have been evacuated to safer areas as a result of an earth slip in the Ambadande Gama area in Bandaravela. The Badula District Disaster Management Centre's Assistant Director EML Udayakumar, speaking to Newsfirst, said that 4 houses in the area are at the risk of being damaged. The Division Secretary of Bandaravela and the police have taken measures to provide relief to the affected persons. Issues surrounding Sri Lanka's participation at the Moscow International Travel and Tourism Exhibition 2015 or mid-2015 were resolved today. Thereby, Sri Lanka too will take part in the Moscow International Travel and Tourism Exhibition that will start on Thursday in Moscow.
Issues arose over the initial price estimate on the stalls at the exhibition and the excess amount that is now to be paid as a result of the financial situation in Russia.
In Russia, we found it difficult for us to organize a stall constructor as per the government procedures to follow. So what we did was, when this development took place last week, me as the chairman, I spoke to the private sector, and then together with all the stall holders, and we discussed as to how we can make sure that Sri Lanka can participate. Right now, what we have decided is that the conference organizer is going to construct the stall as per the procedures, and with that Sri Lanka will take part, and the good news is that 11 key companies are going with it.
We
had an issue over the participation with the financial crisis in Russia. There were issues with the documents and also with regard to the bidding. We found it difficult to select as to whom we will partner with. In the final hours, we reached a decision that we will do this for the country. We have decided to fly to Russia and attend this exhibition. We have been taking part in the MITT exhibition as one unit. We reached this decision as Russia is one country that generates an income to Sri Lanka. We need to do this.
Entrepreneurs, heads and professionals involved in the tourism services, tourism promotion and tourism facilitation from 203 countries will be taking part in the Moscow International Travel and Tourism Exhibition, where 2,056 trade stalls are being constructed for them.
A UNP membership promotional campaign got underway today in Kotikawata under the auspices of UNP Western Provincial Councillor S.M. Marikar.
Addressing the gathering, Marikar had said that the stimulation that was received by the presidential election for the country's development should be made use of. Vimal Veeravansa says that the country is in danger. I think his pocket is in danger. Why is he saying that the country is in danger? They let anyone steal just because they belong to their party. When ambassadors were beaten, when people were tied to trees, when petrol sheds were robbed, when women were abused, they were released because they were their people. They robbed people's money.
Another phase of the series of development and social service initiatives organized in lieu of MP Buddhika Patarana's birthday took place today.
New membership cards of UNP members for the year 2015 were handed over at this program held at the Akurasa bus stand. Politics is not only in the parliament. Politics must be full active when there is no election. Work must be done whether you win or not, whether you have positions or not, whether you are in the government or in the opposition. I have displayed this trend, but some are not like that. They go in for a long sleep and suddenly wake up like a bear in hibernation. They remember the people only when an election is nearing. But we are not like that. Meanwhile, free medical clinic was held at the Mathura Shri Jinendra Sunday School Hall under the Samadhi Setsuwa medical clinical program. Buddhika Patarana also laid the foundation stone for a proposed housing complex in the Mi Alla area in Hakmana, which is being carried out by the Ministry of Housing and some of this program of 50,000 houses.
After Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Jaffna, Northern Province Chief Minister C.V. Vighneshwaran hit out at Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe for his controversial comments on shooting trespassing Indian fishermen.
Talking to CNN-IBN, C.V. Vighneshwaran said, quote, "That is not the way for a head of government to say to a friendly country. As far as the fishermen are concerned, all deep-sea trawlers must be sent to the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea," unquote. In a recent interview, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that Indian fishermen were taking away the livelihood of northern Sri Lankan fishermen. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe said, quote, "If someone tries to break into my house, I can shoot. If he gets killed, law allows me to do that," unquote. As many as 86 Indian fishermen were arrested and their 10 fishing boats were seized by the Sri Lankan Navy for allegedly poaching in the country's waters in February. During his visit to Sri Lanka, the first by an Indian Prime Minister in almost 28 years, Narendra Modi reached out to the country, saying the security of the two nations is indivisible and favoured a life of equality, justice and dignity for Tamils in its new journey of peace and reconciliation.
Moving on to some rugby news, Kandy Sports Club managed to secure the Inter-Club Rugby Championship once again today. Although Kandy lost their decisive encounter today 12-11 at the hands of Sri Lanka Navy, they won the championship based on the points. The final game of the second leg of the Inter-Club Rugby Championship took place today between Sri Lanka Navy and Kandy SC at the Nithawala grounds. This game was important to decide as to who will walk away as champions, as both Kandy and Navy were leading the points table. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week ahead of you. Good night.